Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the shadow and light archetypes. Now this was a conversation that just came up in one of my earlier sessions that I did today at the time of this taping. And a really interesting flow of information was coming through as it related to the aspect of shadow tendencies and the aspect of light tendencies. So using the board here to place the shadows here and the light on the other side. And looking into that divider between both of those hemispheres. That really, when we're looking into the essence of shadow, when we're looking into that, the aspect of its darkness represents separation, segregation. It's the idea of the one being split, being fragmented, dividing itself altogether. And of course, when we're looking into the light, we're looking at unity, oneness. Of course, all of the components are returning back to the one. So, this again, the yin and yang, the hemispheres, as it relates to the shadow and the light. Now basically when we're looking at shadow, firstly, this is actually something that is much more easier to communicate with than the light is. Now, there's going to be some more explanation about that shortly. But really, what this is saying is that when there is separation, these components are separated from the one. And from a unity standpoint, that would represent an unnaturalness. Now basically, these components will in some way, some shape, some form, attempt to communicate with you in any way necessary to try to return back to the one. That's why when we're going through a lot of emotional experiences, a lot of traumas, we're able to go inside ourselves and look into what these emotions are saying. I'm upset because of this. I'm angry because of this. I'm sad because of this. And all of these memories can come to us and say, oh my goodness, there's something that I've been holding back since I was a kid. And I'm just giving myself the proper attention right now to notice what I've been holding on to as a shadow tendency. So, the shadows are very, very communicative with us. Why? Because they are attempting to come back together. The universe is all about attempting to restore balance. And so where there is imbalance, where there is unnaturalness, these shadows will always come together through a certain type of cyclic rotation. If you're not paying attention, then they're going to try and get your attention by communicating through other people, other situations, events, circumstances, things, etc. The shadow is kind of like the Saturday morning cartoon villain. Right? So we have the hero tied to a log, has all of this, rope attached to him. And then you have the villain, twisting his mustache. Mahaha. Oh, yes, I have you tied up here. I apologize to my Italian viewers for the bad Italian accent. But I have you tied up here. I'm going to switch on the lever and saw you in two. But before I do that, I must reveal to you my master plan. Like, oh my God, just shut up and press the damn button. But when we're looking at that typical villain, this is exactly what the shadow has to do. Before they can commit to some type of action, they have to explain to their counterpart what they're going to do to them, or what their master plan is, before they can actually throw that switch. This is the byproduct of black magic, right? So I'll just refer to that as BM. Not bowel movement, but black magic. So basically that's the loophole as it relates to shadow. be a lot of horrible things in shadows. There can be a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of all kinds of extreme emotional points of view, traumas. But its loophole is that it has to tell you everything about it in order for it to return back into balance. And it'll spend lifetimes with you, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, trying to get your attention, saying, I'm trying to tell you my master plan. Yeah, shut up. I'm over here, I'm driving my car, I'm busy working, I'm playing bowling, whatever it is, whatever it may be, right? But our shadows are always attempting to get our attention. They're always trying to come back. And they get more and more scary and more frightening each and every time, and saying, will you let me in for God's sakes? Until you're, oh my God, it scares the hell out of me. All of a sudden it slams back into you. You realize what you've been running from, and now there is a realization. So the shadows will do everything they possibly can, cycle after cycle, lifetime after lifetime, moment after moment, to try and get your attention. And saying, this is why you've been going through this situation. This is why you've had a problem with this partner. This is why you have problems with money. This is why you have separation. It's being that Saturday morning cartoon villain, twisting his mustache and saying, let me reveal to you my master plan. Like, okay, you have the lamest Italian accent ever. Just shut up and say it. Right? So there you go. That's something you can put together with it. So that's the nature of shadow. It has the aspect of separation, and its goal is to bring unification back to yourself by any means that it can. So it's very openly cooperative in a very scary, emotional, traumatic way, right? Because it's basically not used to being separated. It needs to bring that back. The universal will is to bring balance, is to bring harmony, is to bring unification back together. You cannot maintain the infinite aspect of a shadow by having it separate from you. It's always going to work towards coming back into the light, coming back together. It's inevitable. So the aspect of shadow lifespans is only based upon that cycle to where it is separate until the host realizes what the shadow is attempting to say and then brings it back into themselves, harmonizing the trauma that caused the shadow separation in the first place. Okay? So that is the shadow archetype. Now when we're looking at the light archetype, this is again the effect of the pieces, the aspects, coming back into the one. Now, is the light communicative with you? No, not really. It will tell you tidbits. It will give you little breadcrumbs here and there. It will tell you little bits and pieces, but it doesn't really want to have to tell you anything. It basically is saying, you're the light. You're the essence. You're the empowerment. You're the knowledge. You're the universe. Your creation. Your isness. Your nature. Why would you need to come over here to ask who you are or what it is that's happening? You have the ability to do that. You're a unified consciousness, right? So the aspect of the light will focus more on unity, will function more on oneness. And it's not here to give you a gigantic pep talk about what you need to learn about that fragment of yourself, because you're elevating yourself. You're moving yourself up these steps of graduation. You're going up into this higher plateau. And with each step that you take, you're basically developing this complete empowerment of yourself. And that all of these tendencies that are coming back together with you are now aligning you and becoming more whole once again. Because now you're learning to speak the language of how you can work with shadow to bring it back into yourself. But when you're basically talking to your own light, it's going to be very, very brief with you. It's going to tell you certain symbolisms. It's going to give you little bits of perspective here that are very enigmatic, simply because it doesn't want you to rely upon it. It doesn't want you to rely on another aspect of yourself that you feel is separate. It's what the shadows do. It's not what the light does, right? The light doesn't care about separation. It's attempting to bring separation back together. When you're just stretching out and saying, oh, I need to talk to this person outside of myself and get all of this information, well, that person can give you some guidance. That person can assist you in certain ways. They can tell you what they're feeling on the surface, so they can give you some helpful tidbits. but they're not going to take away all the pain with you. They're not going to take away this trauma. They're not going to take away these challenges. That's your job, right? So, looking at it in these two particular ways, the light is the much more challenging path. The shadow is very easy to get into, but it's horrifying, right? It's very easy. It's an easy path to follow. It goes back into the philosophy of Star Wars, right? When you're of the light, you have a lot of responsibilities. You have a lot of tasks to take care of in being that of a Jedi, right? You have to really look into the idea of working together with others and working with yourself. And then you have the dark side. The dark side is just so easy. It's just easy to get involved with. You don't have to have all these light responsibilities. You separate and you segregate, and everything's just seductive, and it brings you into deeper states of horror, but it gives you promises of grandeur, although it horrifies you afterwards. So it represents betrayal, it represents conflict, it represents deceit, all of that, and fear. So basically, this is why certain people have chosen this path, because everything's separation. Oh, hey, don't worry about anything. I'll go take care of this. You just go ahead and live your life the way you want to. You leave all these important tasks to me. Hey, sure, sounds like a good idea to me. Giving all your power to them. And now you're getting fragmented. Now you're feeling great loss. Now you're feeling great depression. Now you're feeling great anger. Now you're feeling great fear, because you've given your power away to something else. And that is the archetype that we have been under since birth on this planet, is a shadow system, right? As many of us know. And so that shadow system will only continue to create fragmentation. The more that we are being hooked on giving our power to somebody else and saying, just take care of this with my life. I don't want to have to deal with it. Easy button, easy button, easy button, right? Now, there is nothing wrong whatsoever with asking for guidance, because that's what the light does. Light will be happy to give you guidance. It'll be happy to share certain insights with you. But again, it's very, very minuscule. In comparison to what the shadow selves can share with you, very, very tiny, right? The shadows can tell you everything about themselves. They'll tell you everything. They'll tell you from A to Z who you are and how this particular thing happened and how they got separated and what they represent and everything. They'll tell you. They're very conversational. But when you're looking at the light, no. Little bits and pieces here, little bits of guidance here, helping you to realize, well, are you sure that you're putting the particular type of energy that you want to into the situation, or is it just going to put you back into a feedback loop for you to create more segregation, right? So it's telling you the idea from a wider perspective, from a bird's eye view. So unification with light is all about empowerment, right? Helping you to go within yourself, that as you're starting to work upon yourself, you're trusting yourself, you're honoring yourself, you're loving yourself, you're being open to the cosmos, you're being open to creation, and you're allowing this guidance to flow through you. Because when you're moving more into unity consciousness, more into oneness consciousness, it's no longer about identity, it's no longer about meaning, it's no longer about purpose. It's only about oneness and nature, returning back into your nature. If you're asking about purpose, and again, as I've talked about before, with purpose, it's like that nice little box. It's got a lot of great love into it, but you basically shut the door. You're inside that box, you're playing with purpose, it's a lot of fun, but you got to step outside of that box. Again, it's, oh, here I am going off into craptopia again, and all this lack is all around me. Oh, no, I'm going to stay inside my purpose box, right? And we won't want to come out. And that represents, again, segregation. So when we come into nature, we have this beautiful spiral where love, where compassion, where enjoyment, where the true nature of yourself in that purest joy and bliss is now just illuminating that entire spiral rather than keeping yourself in this confined box of purpose, right? So, purpose can be a stepping stone to the light, but it does represent a segregation. It represents a separation because you're only identifying yourself relating to that aspect of purpose. You're clinging on to one of these fragments and saying, this is my purpose, I'm a healer, and I'm not meant to do anything else. That's all I'm here to do. Just heal, 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 heal. When in fact, everything else is existing around you that's telling you about your nature, right? So when you're following a path of nature, you're following the aspect of unity consciousness, of oneness consciousness. You're following the aspect of light. But basically what the light, what unity will tell you is that all of this, all that brings about this great degree of fear, love every single part of it. Even on your planet, through other people, even through people who you feel are being rude, inconsiderate, being jackasses, whatever it may be. You want to harmonize. You want to bring compassion to that fear. You want to bring love to that fear. You want to bring harmony to all of those distortions so that they can recrystallize as well too. And all you're doing to do that is to place yourself into allotment. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean I'm placing myself into allotment? Which means you're not changing anybody. You're showing up as the appropriate catalyst to tell another what they need to be reminded of, and you are the catalyst that has been chosen through their personal casting to come in and share this information with them. You haven't changed anybody on this planet, ever. You can only change yourself. But we will have these platforms, these allotments, where we will show up through synchronicity because a person is asking for some type of help. We are not even aware that they're even asking for help, but our conversation, our interaction, our connection together with them is now this particular calling, a summoning that they have asked for. And so therefore, we're positioning ourselves in the allotment, not because in the idea of us wanting to heal the entire planet because everybody's screwed up, but because we're following the flow of synchronicity. And when we're following the flow of synchronicity, you'll notice that you'll magnetize yourself into an allotment of different events that will come together where you're becoming this messenger, where you're becoming this reminder of a person. So we're not here to change a person. We're only functioning as a catalyst-based reminder for what they have asked for what we are sharing, because we're the perfect fit of being that reminder energy catalyst reflection to them. And now they go, oh, that's it. I get it now, right? So basically, the more that you follow the flow of unity consciousness, the more you're positioned into these states of allotment intervention. So you are intervening through synchronicity into these people's lives, regardless of who they are, whether they're on a spiritual journey or whether they're not. And you're basically sharing what you are naturally supposed to share in that state of flow. So that may just be patting a person on the back and saying, hope you have a wonderful day today. May it be well with you. Have a wonderful experience, right? Having a wonderful experience creates a trigger in them. And all of a sudden, bam, they're now going into a new positive direction just because one person gave them that little pat on the back, said something, a one-liner, and now that's changed that person's entire day. Were you expecting for that to happen? No. You didn't change that person. You just fit the bill. You fit the part. You fit their casting to be this reminder catalyst to say, have a great day, have a wonderful experience. They carry that with them, and somebody blessed them on the street today, and now they're feeling wonderful. And this was just a businessman. It's a man working 9 to 5. He wasn't into the spiritual mumbo-jumbo, but he had an amazing experience this morning because somebody greeted him, and that's never happened to him ever. And that's what's changing the entire perspective here. That's what you are doing as a compassion worker, right? Not a light worker, not a shadow worker, but a compassion worker, right? Compassion worker works together with the hemispheres, with the two aspects of the yin and yang. And basically, whether that person is following a spiritual journey, whether they're very loving, or they're very greedy, or they're awful, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. Compassion is welcomed on both hemispheres, on both levels of consciousness, right? So that's how the light plays the game altogether, is that as you continue to go with your flow, you continue to integrate, you have the amalgamation effect, you're bringing all this energy into yourself, you're harmonizing these emotions, and you're feeling these great energy. You're getting these surges of great compassion and great joy and just wanting to go out into the world and not having a purpose, but just enjoying the nature that you are. You're doing everything for enjoyment. You're doing everything because it just feels natural to do it. And so that's you moving into an elevation consciousness of unity, where everything is being recollected into yourself, and you will eventually reach to the point where you just look into yourself, you center yourself, you neutralize yourself, and all of the particular questions that you have become answered because you know exactly what to do. You're knowing yourself, you're realizing yourself, you're developing yourself on a unified path. So the kind of paradox in that sense is that the light follows simplicity. But its challenge is that it doesn't tell you about what you're supposed to do. It doesn't reflect anything pertaining to purpose. So there's a simplicity yet challenge to it. Now some people can see that as difficult, etc., etc. That's fine. You can see it as that too. But that's the way of the light. It just follows together in simplicity altogether. But when we're attempting to move past a system that we have been bred into, that's what creates the challenge of being able to trust ourselves, open ourselves up, because we've been told since our childhood, yeah, there's nothing special about us. We're just this, that, and the other thing, and we're going into all these morality codes and ethical codes and distortions left, right, and center. And we're just feeling like there's nothing special about us. We're not here to do anything. We're just lumps of flesh walking around, and that's about it, right? But there is something so special about us, unique about every single one of us. And we play with simplicity, and we allow those challenges to show themselves, and we move into that flow. Now you're moving into unity consciousness, right? But you have to start here first. You have to start into the separation alignment, and being able to see all of these things come back together, returning back into the one, the amalgamation effect. So, thank you very much for watching this video. Any questions on this video or any other videos on my channel, feel free to go to my website, realitywhisperer.com. Of course, private sessions, light circuitry attunements, Akashic Records sessions, dream interpretation sessions, digital products, free media, and a lot more. So go ahead and check it out, realitywhisperer.com. Thank you so much again, and I will speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.